Alright, listen up. This is gonna be a very scuffed and a little bit unhinged, abridged version of the story of Sigurd. Also, if I mispronounce any of their names, my bad. I don't know what you want me to do here. They got names like Hreidmar out here. Hreidmar. Once upon a time, there was a king. He was an old-ass motherfucker, but he took on a wife. Then a prince came and he was like, I'll kill you and I'll take your wife! But you know, they weren't Scottish, they were Norse. The king was dying and his wife was like, oh, fuck! Then the king told her she would have a son who would get revenge for him. Also, keep the pieces of my broken sword and give it to him when he's older. Again, they weren't Scottish, they were Norse. I don't know why I'm doing this accent. By the way, the sword's name is Gram. His wife took her maid and ran into the forest and changed clothes so they could live each other's lives. Then strangers came and were like, kidnap them and take them to Denmark! But you know, in Danish, probably. Then they met the king of Denmark and he was like, alright, damn it, which one of you is which? Then the queen, who was just like her maid, was like, I have a golden ring that gets cold when it's almost morning. You're the queen. Fuck! Fast forward a few years, the queen had a son named Sigurd, who was very handsome and strong. Sigurd had a tutor whose name was Regent, who told him, go find a horse, you stupid fuck. So he went to the woods and found an old man with a white beard and he was like, pick the horse that can swim. You stupid fuck. So this is the part where I imagine he drowned a bunch of horses before he found the one that can get across the river, who turned out to be Granny, who was from the long line of Sleipnir, the horse of Odin. So Sigurd went back to Regent and told him about how there's a great treasure of gold nearby and he should go get it. Sigurd, knowing that the dragon Fafnir was guarding the gold, was like, hell no, bitch, I'd bet! And then Regent tells Sigurd that Regent's father was actually the one who owns the gold. His brother Fafnir is a dragon that guards it. Also, he has a brother named Otter, who can transform into an otter. The Norse were a very creative people. Then there's this whole backstory on how the treasure came about. Basically, Odin, Loki, and Honir, who had incredibly long legs, wanted to go explore. They found an otter and a fish. Loki killed both of them with one stone. Then he was like, alright, 2 for the price of 1. That's a lot of food. I think you can see where this is heading. It was almost nighttime, so they went to a farm and asked to stay there. The 3 gods offered the fish and otter to the family. Then the farmer, Hreidmar, who was also a magician, noticed the otter right away and hog-tied the gods to the ground. Odin pleaded to pay ransom for the life of Otter. He said Loki to find red gold and he wrestled a fish who was also a dwarf for said gold. The Norse were a very creative people. Loki came back and paid the ransom. Hreidmar and his sons let the gods go. But not before Loki cursed the gold and the treasure to forever doom who owns it. Because as you know, Loki's a rascal. The curse made Fafnir the dragon kill his father, Hreidmar. And so we're back to the present. Well, why don't you get the gold then? The dragon's my brother. Well shit, make me a sword so I can kill your brother. Okay. Regent made 2 swords that Sigurd broke, and then Sigurd's mom came and gave the broken pieces of the dead king's sword. So Sigurd unlocked Gram. Sigurd was now ready to kill Fafnir and take his gold. But before he did, he raised an army and killed the prince that killed the old king from the beginning. This guy went on a whole ass side quest before slaying the dragon. Few days later, he went out with Regent to where the dragon was and saw this huge ditch that the dragon made. I imagine this is where Regent asks Sigmund how he's gonna kill the dragon, and then Sigurd goes, I'm gonna lie down. What? I'm gonna lie down in this ditch. How is that supposed to You have got to be kidding me. And then the dragon died. That's it. That's how he killed the dragon. All of the build-up of Hreidmar and the gods, the backstory of Regent and his brothers, all for this Sigurd guy to poke the dragon in the heart with a sword while he was laying down. That's how he kills the dragon. Sigurd got the name Fafnir's Bane and Dragon Slayer by lying down. But before Fafnir died, he had one last thing to say to Sigurd.
If you touch the gold, you will be ruined.
Okay, so I won't touch it. But, on their way back home, Regent told Sigurd to roast the heart of Fafnir and let him taste it. So he roasted Fafnir's heart, but this motherfucker burnt his finger and put it in his mouth. Which means this dude started hallucinating that birds were telling him Regent was gonna betray him and Sleeping fucking Beauty was somewhere nearby. And he ended up cutting the head of Regent. Okay, back to the Sleeping Beauty thing, which was so out of nowhere, by the way. Now, the castle he was going to was surrounded by fire. So he parked his horse nearby and leaps into the fire. Then the Sleeping Beauty was like, Jesus, finally, what took you so long? Let's get married. Okay. So he puts on the ring of the dwarf Andvari on her finger. The cursed ring that made Fafnir kill his own father. Two sleeping beauties whose real name was Brynhild Finger. Anyways, one day Sigurd came across the house of a king who had a daughter named Gudrun. Sigurd was simping so hard for Sleeping Beauty at this point, so Gudrun was jealous. There's nothing you can really do about that if the guy you like is in love with someone else, right? Well, luckily for Gudrun, her mom was a witch! So she drugged Sigurd and he fell in love with Gudrun. Then, witch mom wanted her son, Gunnar, to marry Sleeping Beauty, so she told Gunnar to go woo her. Sleeping Beauty's father wouldn't let Gunnar marry her unless he crossed the fire to the enchanted tower. Or castle, I don't remember at this point. He tried to ride Granny into the tower, who's parked nearby if you remember. But he wouldn't budge for him. So Gunnar was like, well shit! I'm gonna make Sigurd look like me and send him in. So Sigurd, who looked like Gunnar, went in and Sleeping Beauty promised to marry Gunnar, who was Sigurd, who looked like Gunnar at the time. It gets kinda complicated, but bottom line is Gunnar married Sleeping Beauty and they lived happily ever after. God, I wish that was the case, but it wasn't. Remember the cursed ring that Sigurd gave Sleeping Beauty? Well, she gave it back to him and ended up giving it to Gudrun. I think you know where this is heading. While bathing at the river, Sleeping Beauty was boasting how much better her husband Gunnar was because he leaped through the fire. So, naturally, Gudrun had to humble her. Sigurd jumped through the fire disguised as Gunnar. Well, I'm gonna go kill myself. And then Sigurd heard her and he was like, haha, no, don't, you're so sexy, haha. Okay, I'll just kill you instead. Wait. So Sleeping Beauty drugs Gunnar's younger brother, who ends up killing Sigurd. Granny the horse died because of depression, and then Sleeping Beauty died because she was also depressed. And then they were sent off on a burning ship, thus the curse of the dwarf Andvari was fulfilled. I need to lie down.